Hey guys, before we start the video, I just wanted to let you know that I'm gonna be continuing this YouTube channel for the next year. So please keep letting me know if you're having any trouble with a subject, and I'll see if I can make a video about it. So starting with the video, um, the topic today is completing the square, and this is actually quite simple, but most of us forgot it because it was a pre-calc 11 subject and it was uh, quite simple and forgettable. So this is just a review. Let's start with the first question. All we have to do here is complete the square. So let me start by uh, writing something out for you, which is the basis of this method. So a squared plus 2ab plus b squared equals a plus b squared. So this is true, and considering this, we can use it to help us solve certain problems. So the way to approach this question, we keep the x squared minus 16x, and for now we're gonna ignore this negative 80. And wait just a second. Oh, my bad, it was positive 80, not negative 80. So next, what we have to do is add a term here that would make this into a one of a trinomial like this that we can turn into a square. So if we look at what we have right here, 2ab. So if our a is just x, which we have there, our b is, we don't know yet because that's what we're looking for. So if we say 2ab equals negative 16x, then to solve for b, it's 2xb equals negative 16x because a is x, and then we get b equals negative 8. And now that we have b, we know our third term. Third term is just b squared, so negative 8 squared, which is 64. So plus 64. And now that we have these three terms, we're adding 64, so we also need to make it an equation and add 64 to the other side. Now what we can do is simplify this into a squared binomial, which would be x plus, or no, my bad, x minus 8 squared. And we can also subtract the 80 to the other side, minus 16, and we can, now to finish it up, we move the 16 over, and that's our answer here. Now for the next one, it's pretty much the same thing, except this time, it's supposed to be equal to 0. I forgot that. So now we just need to solve for x using this method. So same thing, we take x squared plus 9x, and it's usually better to move the 10 over to the other side because then it's easier to focus on this. So we have x squared plus 9x. Now our 9 is our b, as shown as in this equation or formula or whatever you want to call it. So or it's not our b, but here let's do the same thing we did before. 2ab equals 9x. So x and a are the same again in this equation, and also now we just need to divide both sides by 2, so b equals 9 over 2. And that means our third term is going to be 9 over 2 squared equals 10, and then we also have to add it to the other side, 9 over 2 squared. So for this, now the next step is to simplify this into the squared binomial, which is x plus 9 over 2. We just have to take whatever this is, the square root of the third term, for our second term here, then equals 10 plus 9 over 2 squared. So we can just simplify that now. 81 over 4 equals 10, or here, change it to over 4 plus 81 over 4. That gives us 121 over 4. And let's put this here again. Now we can square root both sides, and we get x plus 9 over 2 equals, square root of 121 is 11, square root of 4 is 2. And remember, when we square root, we have to consider positive and negative outcomes. So x equals plus or minus 11 over 2 minus 9 over 2. And then we have to do two different cases. If 11 over 2 is positive, plus 11 over 2 minus 9 over 2. 11 minus 9 is 2, so it's 2 over 2 equals 1. There's our first answer. Next one, x equals negative 11 over 2 minus 9 over 2. Negative 11 minus 9 is negative 20 divided by 2, which is equal to negative 10. And those are the two answers for this equation. Now for the last one, oh, I forgot something else too. I'm sorry. So it's actually supposed to be 2x squared plus 7x plus 2. And to solve this now, it's different when we have a coefficient at the front as the if we have a leading coefficient. So we start with the same step. 7x equals negative 2. And now we just divide by 2. So x squared plus 7 over 2x. We need to get rid of the 2 because there isn't any perfect square that has a leading coefficient of 2. So we have to get rid of that before we can solve using this method. So now that we have that, we do plus 7 over 2x. And now we also need to add this. Let's do the same thing again as we did in the previous two. 2ab equals 7 over 2x. A is equal to x right now, so we can cross those two out. And then b equals, divide both sides by 2, 7 over 4. So we have 7 over 4, and this is squared, equals 7 over 4 squared minus 1. Next, we simplify this one to a squared binomial, and we just take this number in the bracket and x, so x plus 7 over 4 squared equals, and then we can expand this here, it's 49 over 16 minus 16 over 16. So we can simplify this, equals 33 over 16. Then x plus, then we square root like we did in the last question, and x plus 7 over 4 equals, remember, plus or minus square root of 33 over 4. And then we just plus or minus square root of 33, subtract the 7 over 4, we can just keep the 4 underneath everything. And this is our final answer. Yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching.